Welcome back, hustlers. My name's Athan, and this is another episode of Resale Radio, a show where we help people in the fashion resale industry, whether you're a Depop seller, whether you're running your own website, or whatever it is, we help you grow your shop and grow your business. Today, I'm speaking to Dan from The Fashion Consultant. All of his links will be in the description, so make sure you check him out. And he started his first business selling bracelets. Then he moved on to building a fashion brand, Rose London, which he grew to over 7 figures, and now runs a business that basically has created a way for people to sell designer clothing through a dropshipping platform. He helps them build the websites and does the marketing for them, or lets them do it himself, so that they can basically run their own online shops. He's got a lot of experience in the fashion industry. Of all the conversations I've had, this is the one where I could tell that this is somebody who knows what they're doing. They've been doing it a long time and came out with a whole bunch of advice that I've not heard other people pick up on. Particularly focuses on how you can use paid ads to grow your own shop and independent website. If you enjoyed anything in the episode, make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about it. Let us know if there are any particular moments that you liked. We can repurpose that content and share it on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all over that place. Without saying anything more, let's go on to the episode.
I mean, we've actually probably had our best week this week, so things are going really good. I've seen some of your videos and it brought back memories, because I actually started doing sort of reselling back in the day with the Depop and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I owned a company called Ibiza Boys Club, which was with Callum Best.
Okay.
So we started off a bit more into sort of like the mainstream stuff, doing like getting things manufactured and that. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember, I don't even know if they're still popular, but like sprinter shorts, like the Adidas sprinter shorts.
No idea.
Like where you go to Ocean Beach and they have the sprinter shorts, the Adidas old school running shorts.
Yeah.
They were wild then. So like we just bought a load of those, started selling those, and then Ibiza Boys Club actually became a sort of a sort of Depop reselling type account, as well as going mainstream as well. So we got into the big stores, but yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, it didn't last too long, because obviously we went into different places. Rose London, which was my brand. I wanted to start from the beginning, mate. I guess I could tell you really what happened. So yeah, we started Rose London, which we grew to pretty much £1 million brand. We had it in ASOS and in Foot Asylum, had it everywhere. But we just made some stupid mistakes. Our last order, I think, was like 300 grand to get into ASOS. And we decided to jump ship with an agency. We wanted to go with Six Silks agency. And doing that, obviously we breached contract. And they tied us up in knots. We missed court dates. And next thing you know, we ended up having to just literally shut down the company, put it in somebody else's name.
So how old are you when this was happening?
So we started it when we were, I started my first business when I was 21, which was selling like the Shambhala bracelets. But I think it was about 23 when I started Rose London. So 4 of us all together.
Yeah.
It's crazy, mate, like how it all happened. I bought a house when I was 26, but I lost it then when I was 30. So I had a £250,000 house, bought it at 26, lost it at 30. I mean, I had debt like everywhere after that. Obviously, all your car payments and stuff you can easily afford when you're earning that type of money, all of it stopped. All my bank balance just went down. So yeah, I learned hard lessons, like obviously you go through depression with shit like that. It was a tough time, but luckily we set this up. And this wasn't easy. The Fashion Consultant, obviously knowing my sort of, with what I knew out of all those sort of hardships, I thought I could teach other people what to do. And, it wasn't easy at the beginning. And most people were just digital marketing clients, a couple of websites here and there. I think for the first 6 months, I reckon I was taking home 500 quid a month, which is obviously not a lot of money. And obviously it's massively different now, but, it took a lot a pain to get to where we are now. We set up this dropship model around about 10 months ago. We've had 107 clients come through now. So, some stores do 30 grand a month. Obviously, that's pretty good. We've got some stores on the lower level. But yeah, the whole purpose of this dropship model is really to bridge the gap for people who couldn't afford to go and spend 20 grand on stock. I know it's the same for you guys. You have to spend X amount, don't you? With your suppliers. Unless you're obviously buying off Depop, say one bit at a time. But if you want to buy in bulk, it's tough. And then you're sat with 10 grand's worth of stock, and you're not shifting it quick enough. It can become tricky. So that's the reason why we set it up, so that we would buy all the stock. And luckily now we've got investors involved who've invested around about 750 grand into the stock for us. So we didn't have to spend that, thankfully. But we've got all that stock sat there. Guys just connect to our store, and they go on and sell it and make 20% of the total order.
Yeah. So I saw on your Instagram the other day that you got that £1 million investment.
Yeah.
And it's mad because me and Nick, we've known about the fashion consultant for probably like 3 years when we first started Depop. And then when we started Hustle, we wrote in our business plan, we need to look at Founder because they sell courses. We need to look at the fashion consultant because they sell clothes. And you're on the list, and then you fucking popped up in a DM, like, have a chat. Like, it was a big moment. So I know a lot about what you do, but I feel like a lot of the people listening won't have done the same research over the last 3 years that I have. So start like right from the basics. What is the fashion consultant? What is this dropshipping method, and how are you helping people?
So the dropshipping method now is pretty much all our business, really. Obviously, we do get the odd people come and ask us to build websites or digital marketing and things like that. But fundamentally, what we do is we build a store for somebody. They connect directly to our store, which is Fabrics. All the stock is held on Fabrics, transfers automatically onto their store. Anything that sells on their store notifies us. We reserve it. The money goes into their account. So say it's a Stone Island jacket that's 500 quid. That jacket's sold, it's reserved. We've got it here now. 400 quid comes to us. They keep their 20. So obviously they make 20%. So £100 of £500, 20% is £100. They keep that. 400 quid comes to us. We send it directly to their customer. They don't have to do a thing. Obviously, we do all the photo shoots for them. We're more than happy for people to do their own photo shoots and stuff. Obviously, we're forward ordering, so all new stock. We've got new Palm Angels coming in next week. So basically, all they have to do is run their store. There's two options that we have. We run the marketing for them. Our best performing stores, I'm not just saying this now, are the ones that we run the marketing for. Obviously, we've got a good insight into what works and what doesn't. And then obviously you have people who can build their own store. They still have to pay a connection fee to connect to our stock, but you can go build your own store. So say if you're familiar with Shopify, go off, build your own store, you connect to our stock, and then its jobs are good. So it's not complex at all, really. The business model is pretty simple. On our side of things, where we make money is obviously on the signups and on the connection to continue being connected to us, and then obviously on the product sales and upsells. So we really didn't realize how much money we could make until we started doing it, because we realized, obviously, because initially when we only had, so the stock that's here isn't stock that gets sent out from the fulfillment center. This is all just for show, really. This is just for show. So when we started off with sort of like 30, 40 grand stock, we realized that it's not going to make us just all the money. We needed to make money on the front end as well. So building websites, upselling, contact lists, obviously the connection fee, £50 a month. If you imagine, we've got 107 clients now paying us 50 quid a month. So, if we can get that to a stupid number, obviously there's a lot of money to be made. And then on the sales side of it, if we can get just 50 of those clients earning 10 grand a month, they're making 500 grand a month turnover for us to come to our business. So when we realized that we realized pretty quick we was onto something. But yeah, it's grown rapidly. It's had its own problems. I mean, we've been told that we're scammers, and we've had all this stuff come out.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the videos.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Obviously, the issue is people want to set up a business, and I think I've seen something you said the other day about, you've got, what's the point of buying 8 grand's worth of stock if you can't shift your 4 grand's worth of stock? Something along those lines. It's the same thing here. People they expect, right, I've got 750 grand's worth of stock. We've given you 750 grand's worth of stock. Just go and sell a few pieces. That's all you need to do. And people have it in their head, the expectation versus reality is that they don't need to spend money on ads, and that everybody's just going to come to their store and buy. And it just doesn't work like that. There's a lot of money that's got to get invested into your marketing campaigns for you to actually make sales. It doesn't just happen sort of overnight.
Completely. Marketing's it's a complicated thing to learn. Like, we're getting some sporadic results now.
Yeah.
But we don't really have any competitors. That's the thing. We're the first people teaching other people how to sell on Depop. So
Right.
really, we don't have to be that good at it to get quite big results.
Yeah.
People selling designer, there's loads and loads and loads of businesses that do that. So you've got to have good marketing skills in that space to stand out and be different. How do you approach marketing? How do you kind of explain it to your clients and help them do what they do?
Well, I mean, because obviously a lot of our marketing is for the fashion consultant on the front end. So we don't tend to do too much marketing for our own brand fabrics. It sort of just his name does get out there because of what we're doing. But, you know, most people, we just tell them to, you know, initiate traffic, choose 5 audiences, split test those 5 audiences, work out which one was the best. There's your initial traffic. Try and break even on that initial traffic. Try and get your cost per acquisition down to say, so for example, cost per acquisition is around about 10 quid per customer with fabrics. That's on the retargeting. And we're getting our customers to spend 250 quid. So that £10 to get 250 quid, even if you're only getting 20% of that. So say in our client's position, 20% of 250 quid is 50 quid. If you take away the 10 from the 50, you're making 40 quid profit. You do that 3 times a day, 120 quid, do that every day of the week. You know, it's 800 quid, do that every day of the month, you know, nearly £4,000 profit a month after ad spend. So that just shows you the sort of where that they should be aiming for. But I mean, what I, you know, also don't want people neglect marketing, like, you know, even like text message marketing. I'm so on text message marketing. 99% open rate is something that people just, when your phone goes off, you look at it, you know. Emails, how many emails you probably went on your phone today, just ignore them, just ignore them. So text messaging, that's really, it's more personal. That's something that we get good results from. But yeah, Facebook marketing, retargeting, we try and break even on the front end, and then customer retargeting is where we really make our money. And that's where everybody, I think, makes it as well. All the top people are making their money doing it that way.
So you're talking through the paid ads, through Facebook ads.
Paid ads, yeah. But don't expect, so when you, for a lot of people, obviously, like, you know, 99% of people aren't actually going to purchase that first time they come to your store. So it's important that you're retargeting those 99% of people on the second, you know, on your retargeting ads. You can't just have an initiating traffic ad that just targets Stone Island, and then if they come to the site and then they're gone. I mean, you know, things like pixels, is that, you know, I don't know about if you talk to your customers about things like pixels, or is it because it's through Depop? I guess it wouldn't be the same, because so obviously the pixel collects all the data from Facebook.
Oh, okay,
So anybody that comes to your site, so for example, if you went on Selfridges now, you can guarantee within 10 minutes you're going to have a Selfridge advert pop up, retarget you. So I guess a lot of your customers don't use anything other than sort of Depop and things like that. Do they have their own websites?
Well, this is the thing, because it depends on what kind of range on the spectrum you are. I'd say there's a vast majority that are still quite new in the game, because Depop's only been around for 5 years. If you've been on it for 2 years, you're only trying to make £500, maybe £1,000. There's no point, I think, going off a Depop, because for 10% of your money, they're doing your marketing, they're acquiring all your customers, there's the platform to sell on. But lately, there's so many people that are really starting to grow big Depop shops and brands that are separate from the Depop app, that they're starting to move off. And I think that this is a space that not a lot of us are familiar with. Like, when it comes to paid ads, we are just 100% working this out on our own, because there's not other people in our space that have done it before. And that's what I'm kind of interested to hear about. I think we know a relative amount about organic reach, because we all have to do organic reach. We don't have any money. Now we're starting to do paid ads. It's a little bit more of a confusing space. I don't think people are familiar with it. Yeah,
no, I get that. I mean, I guess Depop, like you said, it does all the advertising for you. I think it's similar in some ways with like Amazon. Amazon does all its advertising for you. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I would just assume that the credibility factor of having your own website, you know, and being a vintage store, that I think alone, if it was me, you know, I still buy vintage. I bought a Burberry vintage jacket the other day and hat, but that was from a store. I do go on Depop and I look, but I do, and it's not that I wouldn't purchase on it, because I have purchased loads of times on it, but I do like the idea of going to a store and seeing things, you know what I mean? It just gives me that credibility of it. You know that maybe you're going to get hassle-free returns if it isn't, you know, what you thought. So I don't know, maybe there should be a shift of people going over to So websites. I'm not trying to plug it, so you guys come to me and build a website, but pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Shopify is so easy to build a website. Anyone can do it. But yeah, I would think that there maybe there's a time to shift it. And if you're running those paid ads, because I mean, you could be targeting, maybe 5 audiences. You could target, people who are interested in vintage. You could target people who share an interest in Depop. Target people who share an interest in Adidas Originals or whatever these brands is, Dickies, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then you can get all those customers come into your store, and then you've collected their data, and then for the next 360 days, you can just constantly retarget them with your new stock, catalogs and catalogs of stock, rather than having to rely solely on Depop. In my opinion, I don't know myself, even though I've used Depop in the past. In my opinion, that would work easily. It would work perfectly if you was driving traffic from shared interests, split testing it, so you work out which audiences work the best. Maybe Dickies doesn't work, maybe Adidas Originals doesn't. You narrow it down to the ones that do, based on gender, based on age, everything, and then you run those ads. And then once those ads are initiating traffic consistently, day in, day out, bringing new people to your site, and then on the retargeting, say as me, I'm getting a video or an image or the new stock that you've got. You can just go through it, or a little talk about it, what products are coming. For me, that would entice me to then go purchase.
Yeah, you see, I know I'm just talking from like a guessing perspective. I don't know the facts of the situation, but just the fact that you went through that in so much detail, that's language that I've never heard another Depop seller use.
Yeah.
Encourages me that would work. Because that is clearly how you use, targeting to run paid ads.
Yeah.
But because it's such a new space for Depop sellers, we've only existed 5 years. We've only started kind of getting big in the last 2. People haven't worked this stuff out yet. It's why on Hustle, just running 3 videos a day, we're suddenly getting 100 followers a day, because it's just basic stuff. But when you're the first to do something, it has much bigger results. So 100%, I
think people are scared to also spend money on ads. Like people don't realize it's a return on ad spend. I speak to people and I say, you might want to spend 500 quid a month. Oh, fucking hell, I can't. Sorry, I hope you don't mind me swearing.
That's where all
500 quid a month on ads, and they say, shit, man, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, yeah, but 500 quid to return X amount. It's not dead money. I mean, we've recently, so this webinar that we've set up recently, I could probably show you, just to give you an insight. I don't want nothing to brag. I just want to show you what happens on the front end of our webinar to get people. And this is just purely through the Facebook initial audiences, going through to our funnel to a webinar, and then retargeting them and then upselling them either to join us or the contacts list that we sell, things like that. So I mean, yesterday we did. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I mean that's this month. That'll be this month. So it's 3,000, and that's on automation. So that's just literally
pre-recorded webinar.
From a pre-recorded webinar, and you guys could do the same. I mean, if you could do it, especially with what you're doing, you should be selling a course of some sort that teaches people this. And that'll come through, mate, and it's awesome. It comes through every day, and it's done. I haven't got to do anything for that. I wake up and see that. That's excluding all product sales. So there's so much ways to make money in this game, but definitely Facebook for me, marketing, the initial traffic, driving people to your site. All right, they purchase, brilliant. If they don't, we'll retarget those people with incentives such as free delivery or 10% off your first order, or buy all this in bulk, or whatever. And you'd have tons of things that you could do and manipulate with your brands, work out different marketing tactics. I think that you'd be in a massively strong position to do that. Anybody would. And here's my business partner's just walked in halfway through the
Hey, guys. You're right.
I mean, look, it's a tough one to convince people to actually do Facebook marketing, because it means outlay of money. That's all. That's the problem. Is how much money have I got to spend? That's the first question anybody asks. Not how much money can I make, and that's how I see it. Is how much money can I make spending this money?
Completely.
So I mean, I think that Depoppers should be going should be going down that road, getting more credibility with their web stores, retargeting, and I'm sure they double whatever they're making at the moment.
What about using influencers? Have you used that at all?
So back in the day, I was in the process of developing an app with my investor. I used to work for Ed Hardy, and basically we were using influencers that their engagement was shit. I don't know if you've ever looked at the engagement of influencers. So there's basically engagement calculators that you can use, and we actually put together an engagement calculator based on their last 10 posts versus likes versus interactions, and we found that it was dreadful. Some of the ones that were all being used was, their engagement, for example, could be like in the low percentage. So we actually developed this app, or the makings, the framework for the app. We ended up not working together in the end, but it put me off influencers altogether, because it might be slightly different with you guys, because it's like niche and people would want to wear your stuff, if that makes sense. It's easier now for me. So I'm talking back when we used to do sort of Rose London days, when nobody knew who Rose London was. So I'd give it to an influencer, and then they'd be like, oh, look, I'm wearing Rose London. Well, now this Palm Angels jumper, I mean, if I gave that to an influencer, obviously that's going to work because it's Palm Angels. Same for you. If you give that Canada Goose coat in the background, some people will be, shit, that's good. So it might be slightly different now, but I'm sort of done with them, mate. I'm sort of done with the money that I've spent on influencers in the past. You can never guarantee a return on investment, and it's, people know now that they're wearing it because they're getting paid to wear it. They're not wearing it because they want to wear it. If you pay somebody to wear something, people have this weird outlook on it. Whereas if sort of Neymar walks past wearing your jumper, then it's a different, and he gets snapped wearing it, then whoa, shit, what's he wearing? People
Have you seen the Benjar brand?
Yeah.
So I remember I listened to the guy's podcast, found out about his brand, looked into it a bit. And I noticed he's always got people up in his story wearing his stuff. But he said in the podcast that he's never paid any of them to do it. Right. He just waits until someone coincidentally wears it and then puts it up. He said that when he was paying people to do it, it just didn't have the same effect as when Raheem Sterling was just wearing his shit,
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. I think if you're paying someone, subconsciously you don't want to give that brand that money, because you're thinking, no, I know what you're trying to do. Yeah, people are a lot more. Back when I did it, we used to give it to Gaz, Geordie Shore, and people on. Did you ever watch The Valleys?
No,
which was on NTV. Because obviously I'm in Wales, so The Valleys, Geordie Shore, Towie, we would give it to them, and I'm not joking. The money we would make off Gaz, Geordie Shore was insane. You could give them a T-shirt, you would do $2-3 grand that night, and it just slowly stopped, really. I mean, because then everybody else become competitive with it. Everybody else is chucking it on him as well. If he's posting 10 different T-shirts in a day, which one of them is he really? It's not authentic. It's not authentic at all. He's not wearing it because he wants to wear it. He's wearing it because he's getting paid. And then us, like the customers, realize that, and we don't want to do.
The only thing I think about influencer marketing is that with things like Facebook ads, it's run by a machine. So it knows how to calculate, right, if he pays £10, I'm going to give him £14 worth of value back. But I found that because you're talking to a human, they're much less likely to price themselves correctly. So there's some really, really small pages that we run a couple ads with, and they literally charge like £2 for a story. And even if 5,000, 10,000 people see that, it was £2 to get 10,000 reach. Whereas organically we get a week, 2,000.
Yeah.
To go 5 times bigger in £2, obviously you can't exactly measure what return on investment you're getting. But it just made the point to me that people were just given these prices. Some of these people must be undercharging for the amount of people that see your stuff, So I think that maybe not the big people, I won't say the names, but there's a couple of big pages I've used where I've been a bit disappointed with the amount of money we've had to spend. Yeah. But for some of the smaller pages of 5K, 10K followers, charging £1 a story, I feel like that must be underpriced for the attention I'm getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you talking about sort of not the influencers as such, you're talking about the influencer pages type people, Yeah, I don't know if it still exists, but there was one called Men With. You probably actually must have seen it. It's Men With. Got Men With Luxury, Men With something, Men With. They must be up near 2 million. I think we did a deal with them, which cost us like $2 grand for posts. That's what you had to do though back then. I think you had to get it on like the elite, because it was everyone. It was so much more competitive. Now, I would never ever start. I don't want to shoot anyone down while they're starting now, but I would never ever start an independent clothing brand now. I would do what you guys are doing in vintage, or I would sell, designer clothing. I would never go and do my own brand in this current climate, just because there's so many people, there's so much competition, and it is about how big your pockets are, because that first collection is likely gonna break even, and then have you got enough money then to go and do it again and again and again? In 2 years' time, that's when you're probably going to make money. And I think back when we started it with Rose London, it just went straight from the get-go. So if when we're talking about influencers and things like that, how much money would they have to actually pay all these influencers, get a manufacturing run done in Turkey, which can cost you 15 grand, influencers, the decent influencers, you're talking another 5-10 grand to launch, shitload of money to do it, to not know if anybody even likes it, because nobody's seen it yet. You don't even know if just you and your vision doesn't mean anybody else is going to like it. So that's why I would shy away from it. It was what we used to do, consult on that. But for me now, it's not something that I would go down. Definitely wouldn't go down that road.
Yeah, because I've been looking at it myself, and I've always I've not ever really wanted to just build a business that anyone could do. I mean, I did Depop for a bit because I needed to learn, but I never thought I'm going to grow the biggest Depop shop, because I just felt like there's so many people doing it. I'm just competing to be the best. I've always wanted to do something that, someone hasn't thought of that yet, so let me try and kind of disrupt this space. And that's the problem with building your own fashion brand now. I just think that you have to really think of something that is different to disrupt the fashion label space. There's so many, someone called it words on a t-shirt brands. There's so many of them, and it's just
brands, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you just put another word on another plain t-shirt, it's just not going to go anywhere. You have to really think, what is it about my brand that is doing something different from just Balenciaga, which is already a way better word and a way better t-shirt,
Exactly. And that's sort of back when we started. We could literally chuck on any word on the t-shirt. Once we developed the Rose London brand, we had 100,000 followers on Instagram. We just chuck on anything, and it was just a piece of piss. Anybody would buy it. But no, just thinking about you and your business model, I don't know what your plans are, but it's sort of it comes across similar to ours in some way, where you're teaching people about Depop.
One of the things I want to talk about, so you keep mentioning this Rose London. This is a fashion brand that you've built yourself.
Yeah. So we started that in 2014, I think, maybe 2013, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. So you said there's a couple of things I want to ask. First, you said you started with 4 people, which I thought was a bit mad, because sometimes it's hard working with 2 people. And second, you've done that thing that so many people do when they build up something successful. You started by saying, right, so we built it to £1 million. That didn't work. Move on to that. So rewind a second. How did you build it to £1 million?
I mean, we were at the boom of the Towie, the boom of Geordie Shore, the boom of Instagram, the t-shirt boom time. That moment we were there, So when Six Silk started, Good for Nothing started, Rose London started, all those brands started. So they were just getting seen on TV programs. Like every day, our top would be on there. So we were just fortunate timing, and I think that, again, that's why I'll go back to saying it would be harder now, because you want to pay someone on Towie. We didn't have to pay them either. A lot of the time we would find out who's going to be the next Geordie Shore cast. We would give them some products and they would wear it. If they didn't, if not, no worries. But when they did, obviously, boom. And it just spiraled from there. Obviously, once you start making a name for yourself, you start making decent sales. Agencies then get involved. Agencies then take you to everywhere around the UK, trying to get you into different stores. It did take us a year or so to get into Foot Asylum. And then about 2-3 years to get into ASOS. And obviously ASOS was the holy grail of them all. So that's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. And how was it working with 4 people? What drove that decision?
Well, initially me and my friend had a company which invested into this company. And to be honest with you, the one guy that we got involved was a graphic designer. And then the other guy was just knew his stuff with fashion. So I don't know if you've ever seen Bellier. Have you seen Bellier? It's a brand.
I feel like I've heard of that.
So James was obviously clued up with fashion. We had the business sort of acumen in the background, and that's where we did the 4 of us together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were getting separate skills in, because the reason I asked it, because when I first started to grow a business, we wanted to sell like smoking papers and lighters and shit. We didn't have an idea, so we just fucking tried to do something. But we just got 4 people because we were all friends, not because we had 4 different skill sets that were actually going to contribute to what we're doing. And it fell apart in like 2 weeks because it was just 4 people fucking sitting around with nothing to do. Because, do you know what I mean? So that makes more sense. Graphic designer, somebody knows about fashion, different skills that are actually contributing.
Well, I was the marketer. Shane was the money man. Dad was the graphic designer, and James was sort of the researcher to find out what sort of products we wanted to do and come up with.
So yeah, from the Depop perspective, those are most of the things I kind of thought to ask about. You know, the marketing and moving on to a website was the main thing, because I think I agree with you. It's almost like what you were saying with the timing of Rose London. Now is a time where the vintage space is getting a lot of attention, but there's only 2 or 3 big players, and they're not actually that big if you look at how big some of the other brands that are like mainstream fashion are. So in the next few years is a really good opportunity to grow something up that is independent and blow it to a point. And I think in 5 years, the opportunity might be gone because there's so many people that have done it. So I think moving to the website and marketing is important. The paid ads, like you said. What are your opinions on TikTok?
I mean, I was the one who started. I tried to tell everybody to go onto TikTok right at the beginning. Obviously, I listened to Gary Vee non-stop. So
yeah, same.
You know, he got us onto TikTok, but to be honest with you, I found myself talking to 14-year-old kids, you know, in a good way. Obviously, they were, you know, how do I start? You know, how much money do I need? And it got to a point where it was just, our price point was just a bit too high for them to get involved. I think for you guys, it would make sense, you know, but I just found it just wasn't for us, to be honest with you. I still post on there. I just do, you know, every now and then I do something stupid on there, but it's not really. We're looking for people who've, in some ways, the perfect client for us is someone who's already had a business, knows how to work this, you know, just pays the fee, gets involved, knows how to set this whole thing up, and then just takes what we've got, all our legwork, and just goes off and runs with it. You know, that's what we're looking for. So not so much, you don't have to know everything, but we're looking for people in that sort of place, rather than 14-year-old lad who's only got 300 quid and that's just going to get him on our course, and then he's going to have no money left to run ads, and then in a month's time he's going to ask for a refund because he didn't make any sales. Like,
I think the thing to remember with the Gary Vee advice is that he's trying to maximize everything. Like, he's trying to take advantage of everything there is to take advantage of. And if you're not going to use every platform, then you have to think about, like, for the fashion consultant, TikTok's probably not priority number 1. For us, it probably is, because a lot of our audience is on TikTok. A lot of people who are selling on Depop. I know a couple of people, they put up 20 videos and they're already hitting 1 million views. Like, that's crazy reach to be getting for free. So I think for Depop sellers, but I think you're right. Gary's advice is like an ideal, if everyone had all the fucking time in the world to do nothing but work, we could be on TikTok, you know? Summing things up then. So I know you know a little bit about Depop and sellers. What advice would you give them from your perspective on where you think they should be going?
Well, do a lot of them, I don't know. We used to deal directly with the Italians when I was doing the vintage stuff. I don't want to give out any names if you don't want me to, but I don't know if you've heard of Milesme.
Nah.
Milesme. You need to get on Milesme now.
Yeah.
So Milesme, basically, I don't know. I mean, do you know Best Leads?
No, I don't know any of these things you're saying, man. I feel like clueless.
I don't know the guys at Best Leads, but I know that they get a lot of their stuff on Milesme, and that's how we ended up getting our stuff on Milesme. It's an Italian base. It's in Napoli. It's an Italian-based vintage store, and I'd probably say it's the best one that you guys could go to. You know, I set up a business called Pockets of Paris, which was selling suits, designer suits, or drop shipping them from China, but also reworking old scarves, vintage scarves, and using them as pocket squares. So things like Chanel, things like Louis Vuitton, you know, and that went crazy. But we used to buy so much. You could go there now and buy a ton of Burberry at stupid price. I mean, I'm surprised there's not. Someone on your thing will know who Milesme is, and they'll probably go, "Shit, he's just giving out my contact." But I would look to source further out, like rather than I've seen a lot of your videos of people gauging prices and trying to make that couple of quid by buying it on Depop and selling it on eBay. I mean, buy in bulk and go outside of the UK where, you know, if you think of most of these top brands are Italian for a start. So, you know, if you can get something Chanel or Louis Vuitton, even though Chanel I think it might be French, but Louis Vuitton or you know, Balmain, Balenciaga, all that. There's so many places in, you know, in like the likes of Napoli that has tons and tons of this stock. You can just go and pick and choose. You can do it over Skype call as well. So we used to buy all our stuff over Skype. But 100%, you know, I don't want to give up. I know Best Leads are amazing and I love what they do, but I know that they've got some of their stuff on there. If you check out Best Leads, you'll see the vintage stuff that they have.
Yeah.
And the level that they're at. So yeah, I would definitely wouldn't just be looking on Depop to try and make money and quick flips. You know, if you talk about business, you know, you can only do that X amount of times. If you can build up enough capital and buy 5-10 grand worth of stock and flip that, then you're going to be making money quicker.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the thing I remember is that the good thing about Depop is that it's low barrier to entry. Like I was in that room, we literally saw someone else doing it, and 5 minutes later, I bought my first jacket to flip. So I think handpicking is a good way to start because the first times I bought wholesale, I've usually made like a grand mistake, and then I've got to spend the next 2 months making up for that mistake. And then once you get a bit of confidence, like right, I can pick that and flip that. I understand how it works a bit. I've got a couple things down. I think then transition to wholesale. But for a lot of new sellers, they come to me with this long list of 2 grand's worth of money they want to spend. And I've never seen that work off the bat. And if they did, they usually got lucky. Most people, I think, for Depop, just start small and just make sure that you're actually committed to running a business, you know?
Yeah, just understand the fundamentals. Use Depop as the way to gauge what you're going to do and then build up enough capital. But the problem is, you know, with most people who start a business is they spend the money they make in. You know, that's the biggest fucking no. You know, you have to keep a pot of money. You know, otherwise you're just standing still. You know, I've done it myself. Like the amount of money that I spent on stupid shit, it just eats me alive. But you know, now we put money away and you know we invest it into other things because that's going to make us more money. So you know, don't just because you made a 40 quid flip on a jacket, don't mean you got 40 quid to go out on a night out. Like just then make that into something else or something else and something else, and just keep those profits coming, and then maybe use those profits to right now is the time. You've done 100, you know, maybe let's say you've done 50 flips of 40 quid. You've got what's that, 2 grand. 2 grand go to Milesme, Napoli. Maybe even catch a flight out there, 250 quid. Go to the place, hand pick what you want, and pick it there. You know, I would. That's how I would do it. It depends how much people want to scale their business. You know, I want to be. I'm no level to where I want to reach. You know, so it's if you're happy just flipping stuff on Depop, then great. But you know, is it really a business? Is it gonna buy you a house in the future? Is it gonna feed your kids? You know, I've got 2 kids, so I need to feed them. So I don't, you know, Depop for me flipping just probably won't do that short term. You got to have a bit. There's got to be a bit more to it than that. You know?
Yeah. But I think the thing I really had to like learn when I first started doing this was that I'm very much like I want to be the biggest, the best, just go all out in it. And I very quickly realized that that's not why most Depop sellers are there. They want to make good money, income that can kind of support their life right now. You know what I mean? The average age is like 23. We don't need that much money to live. So I want to cater for those people that are going to watch this and think, fucking hell, yeah, I do want to go all out. Let me use that supply. Let me start going bulk. But equally, there's so many that want to make £500 a month, £1,000 a month, and they're cool with that. Do you know what I mean? That's all they want from it. So
yeah, that's exactly it, man. And at the end of the day, the stress levels that come with going even further is immense, you know. So, you know, we had before Christmas, we were working 18-hour days flat out for 2 weeks. So, you know, there is that, you know, you got to measure what's fun and and the money that's coming in. It's not, but just because you got money coming in doesn't mean that you're enjoying it. You know, I learned that with Rose London as well. You know, I really didn't enjoy it towards the end, but we had good money coming in. So you got to find your happy medium sort of thing, you know. But yeah, for me, I mean, just if it was me in your guys' position, obviously your business aside, but those guys, I would just learn because like I learned by failing myself. So I learned through the Rose London process to get to where I am now. But if I was them, learn through Depop, flip, make some money, just don't spend the profits, keep them profits. And then I would get to a stage where I go, like I said, to Italy or to somewhere, and really then take it to the next level by buying things that are high in demand, but you're going to get it at lowest cost. Because, if you're going on Depop, it's already been through the supply chain, right? Where it's going to people are taking a cut. And that's why it's £2 more than it should be, or £3 more than. Do you know what I mean? If you can cut that out and go direct to source, that's when you're going to get your good profits. So, you're going to need a chunk of money to do it. If you go out to places like that, wholesale wise, they're going to need, $1,000, £2,000 minimum spend. But that's what I would do. Go out there, handpick the pieces. It'll be literally like you're walking around Depop in there. You know what I mean? It's going to be Canada Goose everywhere. It'll be Adidas everywhere. I mean, I'll send you the link after. You'll take a look at it, mate. It's a very well-known one in Napoli. Obviously, we won't get to go there now because of COVID, but definitely is the place to go.
So what did I take away from that conversation? First of all, what is possible in our industry? He's built one 7-figure business and he's on his way to building another. So there is a lot of opportunity in the fashion industry still. I think it's more that just the opportunities have changed. What Dan was saying about how it's much more difficult nowadays to build another t-shirt brand, that boom has kind of gone. Doesn't mean there is an opportunity out there, it's just not the same ones that used to exist maybe 10 years ago. He talked a lot about paid ads, which I don't think a lot of us really think about. We're very focused on organic reach. Most of the Depop sellers and people that are running their own websites that I speak to, very focused on organic reach because it's free. But the way Dan spoke about it being, a return on investment, about putting £50 in so that you get that and then some back, makes a lot of sense. And his kind of drive to get people off websites, once they've built up some experience on Depop, once they've learnt the ropes and they're comfortable with what they're doing, transitioning over to a website makes a lot of sense to me. Depop seems like a training ground, the marketing's done, the platform's there, the customer acquisition's already sorted for you. Once you've learned how to operate in that training ground, maybe then is the point to look and say, can I build my own website? Can I build my own brand? Can I start running paid ads and marketing campaigns to get people to my shop? He's got a hell of a load of experience, so please go to the bio, check him out, follow him on Instagram and look at the stuff that he does. Maybe some of you are interested in growing that kind of designer drop shipping business model, so hit Dan up in a DM, so I'm sure I'll be more than happy to help. As always, leave a comment below, let us know what you think. We want to know if you're enjoying the content, we want to know if you're finding the content useful. If you are, we will keep making it. If we're not, tell us that as well, and we'll think of new things to do. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. And as always, keep hustling. We believe in you.